This is the story of my grandmother. She lived till 92 years old. Her husband died when he was perhaps 50 some years old. Apparently, those two came from remote part of Japan called the Ishikawa prefecture. That's nearby where Daisetsu Suzuki lived. In any case, she and I talked about how the life was when she was up there in Ishikawa. She had the silkworm, that much I remember. And apparently they explored the world. Not the world, but moved out of the remote town. I don't know the reason why, to go all the way to Tokyo, which would have been taking maybe 10 hours or perhaps more. It's a long way, maybe the bus and train and all days. And her husband, started the bathhouse. Apparently worked hard. She talked about how she worked. And from one bathhouse, 2, 3, 4 of them, and then bought the house in Chiba Prefecture, just the suburb of Tokyo, where I was born. And the story is that they don't talk much, but my grandfather made some money. So he was like an entrepreneur coming out of the remote town. And I may have some of the blood in the sense of my tendencies to explore from Japan to the US and on and on. And my grandmother worked hard. I don't remember much of specific stories, but I know she worked hard helping him. And I have brother and sister, but she was very much fond of me. I'm the elder one. I don't know why, but I remember talking to her, for example, in autumn. She burned leaves and twigs and stuff after doing the work. And while we watched the fire going on, we talked, and she talked about those stories of silkworm and the time in Ishikawa-ken, maybe 800 miles away. And I respected her. So these days, the family, my mother and father was there. So, and then my sibling was in the house. So quite a few people, and she was there. And I don't know, but I went along. I was happy with her and listening all the stories. But one thing I do remember is this one, which triggered me to talk about her. That there's no exact expression in English, but it's something like you work hard. But the word she used is not work hard, but do everything sort of quickly, appropriately. So probably what they meant is not to be self-centered, but do whatever is necessary at the time and behave like that. That's one sentence I do remember. So when I was 60 years old, I reflected my life, and I think I talked about that story in the report, which you can access it. That was like the time of reflection about the 60 years old, what to come. Now I'm 77. So a few months ago, I read that report and posted something on YouTube too. because time is less and less as I live. But anyway, that story of her telling me, do whatever is needed beyond your ego. She didn't say it that way, but I think that's what I took. And I'm living like that these days and taking care of things because I have to live alone, and I'm happy with that. And some of the things that I start to do, and I've been doing this, I've written this in my book. If it's important, make it visible. It's a very simple idea, but I practiced with the companies that I worked with so that if it's important, make it visible, red and green. And if it's important in certain project and what is the schedule and it's behind or not, red and green. So everything is easy. The idea of the glass flow management, I took it from Mr. Matsushita, but she may have had some influence. And not just talking with my clients, which lasted 40 years, different clients, especially after I moved to the United States and then worked with a bunch of companies around the world. And I practiced that. Not perfect. There's no perfection. It's always changing. And like I may have shared that, different ideas, even including about let's have a right posture or some such thing. Just keep me on top of things. And especially when you think about being here and now, those situations, one of them that I just remember, everything is in its place and place for everything. I'm not perfect at all, but, just one. And there's lots of Zen related and spirituality related, quotation, and something popped up in my mind. I posted. I think I've shared the video, maybe a few videos on this previously. And I keep doing it, especially when I'm 77, as of a few days ago. I want to be on top of everything and still make mistakes. So the discipline, everything in its place, so that you don't lose things. But actually, if I think about it, everything in its place is not just the physical, everything is in its place, but in my mind, orchestrate in certain way. And interestingly, my books I wrote, the first and the second book, applied for the company organization to transform, but the same thing, organization of my brain segment and make it visible, keep it important things, priorities clear. That's helping me because I'm kind of lazy person, but these works I did for 40 years or more and still not practicing well in my life, it become more imminent at the old age. So like that black dot exercise, I monitor if there's some issues that I find important. I put it in my daily journal kind of thing to see if there's any trend. But also something forgotten and stuff like that, the tiny thing. But if it's important, you have to make it very visible physically, but have some effort in my mind, in my brain. So it's easy to pull it out and push it back, whatever ideas, disciplines, what to do. And it's a game. And since I'm losing my energy and the ability to do things day by day, I want to make sure that I'm on top of the important things in various segment, idea, the subject. That's the idea of the life profile. I have 6 of them. Being sincere and truthful is number 1, and then work, hobby, relationship, health, and finance. Those are the 6 items that I have monitored for the last 6 years. So that is balancing out. And now all this stuff become more and more important because I'd rather live longer and have fun time. So the practicing of making things visible and reminding my grandmother's point of what was the word I used? Prompt to do things as needed, beyond your ego. It's precisely fitting. So what I thought is that I learned a lot from my father and mother, and there's some I would call negative side of things that I learned too. Like my father was a little chaotic, but having fun. But he pushed the limit kind of thing, and I have the tendency. My mother was very quiet and didn't complain or anything. I don't know if I learned a lot, but more I feel that she had some influence on me. My brother said maybe she was enlightened or something because she was always kind of calm. And in Japan, with their grandmother living together, usually there's some issues, but I think she bared the difficulties, whatever may have happened. It's a traditional way. And my grandmother, going back to my grandmother, had a long life and quick to do things. And I thought maybe I haven't seen her taking a nap because I was out to catch eel, which I did, one eel, not bad. And then I went swimming naked nearby where I caught the eel. And nobody's there, the Long Beach, wonderful time. Why am I talking about it? I forgot. Because I had such a fun time, but then I came back, that's right. And I felt like sleeping, but I don't have a habit of taking a nap. I don't think that's why I thought about my grandmother, because I respect her. She was picky, but had a good spirit and lived long. My father died at 77, which is the reason I posted something about my birthday. And my mother, 75, had cancer, 2 of them. First uterus and the second one, a stomach. My father had a diabetes and a stroke. And my brother had a stroke. My sister had a stroke. I don't have the stroke yet. I hope it doesn't happen. But like today, swimming naked, it's kind of like a fun thing. And I want to push a little bit, maybe a lot more than any other people would do. So I still do diving and all that stuff. So what's the point of all this story? Just resting after catching a eel and enjoying the time alone swimming and coming back. Yeah, that's right. And then I have this, fairly good sized eel. This is the 4th one this season I got. And I'll be happy to eat because it's very good energy producing kind of thing. And then I have to kill. Yeah, that's what I thought. I hate to kill any animal. He is sitting in the, how do you call it? Not the box, pail, because I haven't killed him. He's sitting there. But I have to kill. I don't like to do that. But I have this resolution, I'd like to be sufficient, and the veggies and fruits and fish and eel, whatever, and not to be luxurious in living, very minimalist living. I think that's good. Keep me in shape because I may still relax like now, but usually I don't take a nap or anything. And I have enough things that I create like this YouTube thing, which is taking time and energy, but still interesting. Especially the interesting part is to communicate with people giving me some feedback, so I can learn, keep on learning. People from different countries, different opinion. They may come and go, but it's okay. And I may spend 4 hours or so for that, and the fun time another 4 hours, another 2-3 hours for updating what's going on in the world, and some other time friends, but not many. I like to be not socializing only, but rather to have some reason. Maybe I'm too weird to think this way. It sounds like I don't relax and I'm always thinking, and that probably is right. This Zen approach in life and Shin Buddhism, Namamidabutsu, and Samadhi and enlightenment, it's such a such a subject not many people may be interested. But for me, I found that a really big challenge, and that's why I went into it, because I didn't know what it is. And I found it interesting to discover. And this discovery of who I am and awakening, and actually it did happen 25 years ago. And I'm glad that I have gone through it. And still, you have to keep on moving forward, because that's what it is. I changed, the environment changed, and you want to be on top of how you live, in my view. So today was a good day. Lucky enough to catch eel and help swim. I have to kill the eel, unfortunately, but I take it because for my nutrition and also the disciplined way that I want to be sustainability with minimum level of whatever I've got. So if my grandmother is watching me, I don't know. But she lived until 92. I don't mind living that long so far as I can move on, maintain some level of health. But this video is not for me only. I'm interested in reflecting and summarizing and being able to see what I'm going through to make sense out of it. But especially for younger people, I think triangulating in a sense of having a reference of different people in your life will help you. In my case, like those 3 people in the family and many others, but maybe up to 12 or 10 or some such number of deeply connected, including those who passed away and so forth. And they give me where I am, what I'm doing in relation to them in some way or the other, such that, given the limited references, but as much as I can relate to, I like to keep on moving on my life, reminding me of those people, because they are living inside of me. Even those three people who passed away when they're like 50 years old, and my college mate, and it's very unfortunate. But they're living in me as well as a bunch of others. And I like to process something. And I think it's kind of interesting because the evolution is something like that. There's input, there's output, and one person's output goes to the next person's input, possibly. That's the reference, triangulating and so forth. So the way of our growth may continue. So instead of taking a nap, I talked 21 minutes. Have fun. Hopefully, I may be a crazy, odd person to be a reference for anyone, but who knows? That's the fun part of life. We don't know it, but there's some potential interpenetration, sharing things, and evolving the idea of Kegel. And I'll be happy to be a part of it. Thank you.